Yes, butterflies. The things that can instantly destroy any Magicraft run. Just because your computer can't handle it, even when you got a beefy MF like mine. Well, as you saw from that silly little intro video, today we're going to be talking about butterfly, the simple butterfly. I'll tell you right now, the very most important thing to remember is that for stuff like butterfly, you really kind of got to have Cloud Piercer. The way that these guys navigate is in kind of an arc towards the enemy. They track enemies. I don't know if their movement is based on the track spell or if it's its own thing. It seems like its own thing because they don't really rotate, but you're up against a wall and you're in the middle of like a dungeon on floor 2. And without Cloud Piercer, these are all just, useless. Half of them are going to bounce up against the wall, even if you're down here, just because of the way they, like, shoot out. So yeah, you need some help, right? Boop, boop. Let's restart that. Here we go. DPS is... Let's shoot at this one. All of you attack this guy. No, all of you attack this guy, please. Thank you. You can get like 50, 60 DPS off of these guys. They're not bad. They're really not. They have a lot of versatility too. One thing that's very important for these guys is some extra duration or some extra speed so that they can reach enemies in a reasonable rate. Because otherwise they're just going to fizzle out because they don't have a forever duration like some projectiles do. Actually, I don't think any projectile has infinite duration. That would be silly. So yeah, you throw in some speed, throw in some duration, you're good. Now this leads us to how do we make butterfly better? Well, you can do stuff like multi-shot, obviously. Butterfly already has multi-shot built in, so it just doubles that number, which is lovely. You go from shooting 3 to shooting 6 for only 150% more mana. I think it's pretty good. Throw in some penetration, and then all of a sudden you've got little butterflies tracking enemies without having to have navigate or track or anything like that. And they're hitting twice, right? That's good. That's doubling your damage for no mana upgrade at all. Another thing you can do is obviously hit them with the fall rebound. Since they track enemies, they'll bounce with their rebounds towards the nearest enemy. The more speed you give them, the better off they do. It's a lovely little way to up your DPS quite a bit. Look at that number up there, 270. Let's see what happens over here. One thing you'll notice is that butterfly tracking isn't perfect, and sometimes they'll go after another target, even though they're right next to one. I don't know what that is, but whenever you're rebounding, they turn into little skipping stones like that. It's cute. Butterflies are low cost, and you shoot a lot of them, so they're obviously very good for any damage over time effects you want to use. You throw in some poison, then all of a sudden you're doing this. And if you're doing that damage over time, you can obviously use Split as well, since... we're not that worried about their damage. They don't have very high damage compared to other spells that just shoot better and you don't have as much stuff on the screen for more damage. But you get something like this going, you got a bunch of splitting and multi-shotting and bouncing and turns into a nice little, poison brigade. Chain of Lightning works good for butterflies. Let's take off the fall package and put back the penetration package. Chain of Butterfly is fine for butterflies. It also does its job very well, especially if you have Split, because you get more lightning as you go. This obviously isn't that strong unless you're scaling damage with like Prospector's Pick or Beast Fangs or something, but you get the gist. This isn't bad, it's really not. Another good thing butterflies are for, since they have built-in multi-shot, let's take off some of this, is they can be used to varying degrees of success with dazzling fireworks and stuff like that. Obviously, you probably need like some tracking or something, but you can do this. I don't think Twine works with laser, but you'll see down below that it will work very well with something else. But think about it. Cast a spell 3 times when casting the left spell, and causes it to circle around the left spell. So you're casting this, there's 3 of those, times 3. That's 9 lasers right there. Think about that, right? Serial also is very interesting since they have a pretty low flight speed normally and last for a while if you throw on some duration. You can get a lot of work out of Serial, but, it's kind of a mana pull if you think about it. Yeah, there's a lot of neat things you can do with Butterfly. Butterfly is a good spell. I like it. I've used it in some of my favorite builds, some of my earliest builds that did a lot of damage. Speaking of, let's talk more about the penetration power of Butterfly and how it can be used as a transportation vehicle for stuff like Thunderstorm. Obviously, if you have tracking and speed, you immediately have like a great vehicle by itself. Like we'll just throw these down here, throw this up here, and then all of a sudden you got, you know, decent vehicle by itself, right? It gets a lot of speed. But if you don't have all this nonsense up here, maybe you want to do something more interesting and make a more interesting looking build, you could fire off these butterflies, right? Very high cost. Obviously the splitting helps quite a bit too. If you have moving enemies, it's not as good, but it's still not bad. And I gotta tell you, does a decent amount of damage. Look at that, we're up to what, 9,000, and this is a reasonable build to get by like the second or third stage. Like a couple pluses, a mimicry cube plus, of course, and get that off like the second stage mini boss. You got tracking, you got a lot of basic spells, you got some multi-shot and some core thunder. Core thunder's neat with butterflies. Since you're firing off a lot of enemies, obviously you get firing off a lot of enemies. Since you're firing off a lot of spells, you get a lot more chances to get the lightning effect. And look at this. They're doing their job. One unfortunate thing about tracking, though, for butterflies is that they tend to hover around it rather than, like, going directly into it since they have built-in tracking. So you kind of get this, like, effect where they're not really doing their job properly with tracking. It's interesting. But yeah, things move forward, right? Oh, you know what? Let's give them their Core of Thunder back, or even Accelerator could be interesting. More acceleration on these guys. It's spinning a lot more. I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing, but I think if you're going to do a build like this, you really need Energetic Orb to fire it off like reasonably well. Let's actually do that now. Let's go ahead and set up Energetic Orb for these next few. We'll just do a really basic Energetic Orb setup. We'll get something that's reasonable to get as you're going. Something like this right here. There we go. Oh no, my double shot that I definitely need for some reason. No. So yeah, now we got some extra mana going. You fire this off 2 or 3 times. You're looking at a decent amount of damage for sure, especially with the way that the poison stacks up. We'll let this dissipate and then we'll move on to the next wand. This one's pretty nice. I decided to go for a fall build with the butterflies, and at this point in the game, you're probably like World 3 or 4. And you're like, oh, I found a Core of Flame, I found an Arcane Nova, or you're in World 4 and you bought some stuff. Like, this is a reasonable late mid-game to late game build, and this is something that you can build upon, as we will see down here. You just fire off your Arcane Nova. You fire off your butterflies. We're getting that same wonderful effect where the butterflies are bouncing and auto-tracking towards things. You get this lovely array of damage from our Core of Thunder, from our Mimicry Cubes, from our Venom Crystal. It could be personally reasonable to have higher Mimicry Cube here. The one unfortunate thing about this build is that those Arcane Novas, for some reason with this particular setup, they like bug out and make that extra noise for some reason. I'm not really sure what that is. But yeah, let's get an honest read on this one. I think Rebound and Fall are always going to be a reasonable build to set up with just about any spell. But Butterfly, it works really well because you don't have to worry about the tracking. You give them some speed and they're good to go. You throw in some Rebound and they're going after enemies by themselves. You can see this in one of my earlier builds where I did a really big mana run on Reaper. And I set up a bunch of butterflies to rebound everywhere and do some splitting. As we saw from the... this is dangerous. As we saw from the earlier like clip from the video, I'm just going to fire it once just to be safe. Whenever you're tracking with stuff like this, where you want to use damage over time spells, Split helps quite a bit. We'll fire it twice or maybe even 3 times. But Split is also very dangerous because it can immediately crash the game if you're not careful. But as you can see, we're pumping damage pretty well there. Maybe we can go a little bit further. They're not doing too bad. Now, the danger comes from the Split, obviously. Split with damage over time is obviously a very strong setup, but with butterflies in particular, it can be very dangerous. Which leads us to our final build. It's late game, you're walking in, you say, oh, I got my multi-shot, I got my rebound, I got my fall. We got our butterfly set up. Oh, we picked up a blast surge, or oh, we picked up reverse casting method for the speed. Reverse casting method and fall work really well together. Core of Flame for not only the damage over time, but also the damage increase. You think about it like this. In fact, let's say you've been playing really well and you found your Stellar Drift, right? Oop, hold on. We're going to have to fix some stuff here. Boom, 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 boom. That's not the right one. That's the right one. Boom, 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 boom. What did we lose? We lost our Core of Thunder. Totally fine. We lost our reverse casting method. I don't think that's going to be an issue. We got standard Stellar Drift, so final damage times 200%. Our cost is a little high, but we have our energized orb. Obviously, you could replace, like... Core Thunder's not bad. It's really not. Core Flame's also just a better pick for this particular setup. Maybe you got lucky and you picked up your Basti Stone ++. You throw it down right there. All of a sudden, oh wait, all of our space issues are moot. They're no longer an issue. We throw down to that. We throw down that again. We throw down a Core of Thunder. Nah, we didn't really spend that much time building up anything else. Oh, we found a Venom Crystal late. We found an Accelerator late to put in there. And another Fall. And suddenly, look at these big old butterflies doing all this damage. If you look, the butterflies are doing most of the damage in this particular build. Butterflies are great for damage over time builds, but in this particular instance, the butterflies are doing all the damage thanks to Blast Surge. Obviously, if we did not have Blast Surge, we could probably switch this in for some Venom Crystal. You could probably remove one of these range boosts, throw in like an Overload for extra damage instead. And now you've got a pretty reasonable damage over time build with big area. You're still doing a decent amount of damage. As long as you get up to 100,000 DPS, you're going to win the run. So this wins the run still. But obviously, if you get lucky with something like Blast Surge, you always use Blast Surge. It's just, you know, it's just how it goes. Come on, let's be honest. If you're not doing reset meta, then obviously Blast Surge isn't always going to be available, which is why I'm showing you this build as well. As you can see, the reason that I crashed earlier is because I had a split on this particular build, and that would have just been way too much. You throw on, like, another range boost instead of your accelerator. And look at that. You've got basically a supernova's worth of range and all this damage over time hitting. You've got all your thunder. You've got all your damage going. I have to let go. I have to stop shooting this one or else the game crashes. That's part of why Butterfly is not exactly the best in the business, but it is in the business for sure. Look at that, 604 max DPS, 604,000, my bad. And that's just off of this one without the Blast Surge, right? You get this going, you leave some of this here, but, oh my, we lost one of our Venom Crystals, but we found our Blast Surge. We're gonna drop all that extra poison damage. But now we have the damage over time. We also have the regular damage. We're not quite as laggy now. And look at that. There's 1 million. Could probably get even higher here, but my game is starting to lag quite a bit. You get up to 2 million. Butterflies are good. They can be really good. The very funny thing about a lot of spells is that whenever your damage increases, your projectile size, like, the way it looks, not necessarily its hitbox or anything like that, but you know, you throw on all the fun bits and baubles, you get all the damage increases, and then you're looking at, you know, an extra 5,000 damage. You're firing these guys, they're even bigger. Why are they doing this? Why does it work like this? But there we go. You're hitting like, you know, 3 or 4 or 5 million damage off of just some butterflies and some Blast Surge. That's how it goes. You got Prospector's Pick, you got like, I don't know, 200 or 300 coins. You're sitting pretty. You really are. And that's the beauty of this game. Even Simple little butterfly, even though it will crash your game, can absolutely demolish just about anything. And you know what? That's pretty nice. That's pretty cool. I like that. Let's crash the game again before we go. Let's see here. We don't need the Tranquil Bloom. We do not need the extra range boost. Let's see how much it takes off. I mean, it only took off 1,000, right? You throw down some butterfly. You throw down like some, I don't know, some cereal with a little bit more butterfly. And is cereal activating? I don't think it is. Oh, you know what you could actually do? Hold on. Watch this. You ready? This is going to crash the game. This is for sure going to crash us. It didn't do it. Hold on, hold on, hold on. We'll fix this. We'll do it with Magic Bullet. Oh, it might crash it. I don't think it did it. I don't think it crashed it. We're saved. What else can we do here? We could do some... You know what the better setup is? Hold on, I got you guys. You're not ready for this. You go Magic Bullet, drop the cereal, go for the Duet Plus, because we just have it, right? Go for the Magic Bullet, you throw the fall back here. Hold on. That's right, we're live editing our ridiculous build. So here's what we're going to do. Anything that has to do with area, we're going to move behind the Magic Bullet. So this can move up here. Honestly, just about everything can move behind this Magic Bullet. Hold on. Yeah, what am I talking about? Come on, Brandon. What are you doing? Here we go. Oh, that's right. The Magic Bullets don't have tracking on them. That's why that's important. You know what you do? You move the rebound up for just the butterflies. See, look at that. We're live editing our final builds. Disgusting. And there's your 10 million. There you go. Magic Bullet is the best in the game. That's all I gotta say. Make sure to like the video if you enjoyed. Please, please, please comment. Let me know what else you want to see from the channel. You want to see more anime builds? You want to see more random builds that people request? You want to see more tutorial videos like this? That is what you need to tell me. Also, if you have anything else to add to this tutorial, as a Magicraft expert, as all of you commenters are, please make sure to do so. Give me little extra justifications for things. Give me any corrections you might need to leave for me. Otherwise, guys, I am done. That's Butterfly. I appreciate you all very much. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more. And I'll talk to you next time. See ya. Here, we'll crash the game. That's how we'll end it. Oh, God. Might not crash the game. Hold on. Did we fix it? Hold. This can't be right. We gotta crash the game. Where is it? Where is it? It really doesn't want to crash. Wow. Okay, guys. Oh, there it goes. It's splitting. We're starting to lose it. We're losing it. I appreciate you all. I'll talk to you next time. See ya.